you're a fan of Joe Arpaio, as am I, the sheriff down in Maricopa County, Arizona, and the prison that he runs down there to be as cost efficient for the Arizona taxpayer, and to make sure that those prisoners understand that they shouldn't want to recommit crime or re-enter his facility. And maybe, you've actually had a chance to meet with him.
Yes, I have. I've been down to his operational quarters as well as his office in the Wells Fargo building in Phoenix. You drive down the street, it's Durango Street, it's called, and as you're driving along, all of a sudden here you run across Joe Arpaio's Tent City Jail. It's quite an operational place. You have armored vehicles, you have every visible sign that there's an enforcement facility here. And he invited me to look over everything. I could take the pictures I wanted, I could ask the questions I wanted, I could talk to the prisoners if I wanted, which I did. And there's no question when you go in that facility, he's in charge. His officers are in charge. They have the authority to deal with a matter there as it happens, not wait for some hearing weeks down the road.
And I just want to point out the difference. When I toured Drumheller, as I was touring the prison with the warden, I was shocked at the things that the prisoners in their orange jumpsuits were saying to me and the warden about us suits touring the facility. Mm-hmm. And the obscenities and the verbal abuse. I was floored that that's the way they treated the guards and the people running the facility. But sorry, go on. Yeah.
And that's not uncommon in any prison you walk through in Canada here. But the issue that struck me when I went through his facility, the minute you walked in the front door of his prison, there was a huge sign that every visitor's eyes would fall upon when you walked in that door. And it was a picture of, well, in this particular case, they're military men, and living in foxholes, fighting the war in Iraq. At this particular point, that was a common battle that they were all engaged in. And the caption below it was, the next time you think about complaining about our Tent City jail, think about our troops in Iraq, and think about the way they have to live from day to day. In this prison, the prisoners will live no better than the prisoners or there are soldiers in Iraq.
Amen to that.
And I think he had it all into perspective. And of course, that's exactly the way he ran his prison. They did not live any better than the soldiers living in Iraq. They lived in tent cities. They were fed the basics to sustain life. I mean, they're not getting any steak and gravy in that prison.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. And he expected them to work. They had work gangs. He saved the city millions of dollars by taking over the pound. And the prisoners look after the dogs and the animals that come into that pound. He saved the Phoenix city millions of dollars over what he had done. They did massive cleanups throughout the city with their chain gangs and the like. But the courts recognized it. 6 months with Joe, or 2 years in the other penitentiary we have here. So many of them opted for the 6 months because it's a shorter sentence, but it was a tougher one. Yep. And that's the way it was, and he ran it as a prison should be run. I think the issue, though, can this philosophy be transferred into this country, and the way Arpaio does his jail, and I would have to say yes, because I don't see why philosophically our prisoners should be treated with any kind of respect. They should be given the basics of life and recognize that they're in a place because they decided to violate the rules of our society.